Are we back on?
If y'all can hear us or see us, hit some hearts so then we'll know
I
at
see
least we're.
9, 10. Oh, let me look. Get my phone. Back. Oh, okay. I don't have mine, but
Here.
okay. Okay, so we don't know what
Okay,
happened. Oh,
so-
it keeps stopping. It stopped and said you were saving. Okay, so we're back on.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know what happened. We didn't see back on, but it keeps freezing. Is it still doing it now? I'm gonna turn on my phone. This sucks because this is. Are we back on? Okay, I hear myself. Oh, okay. Okay.
My fault.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep this on. I may lower it, and then I'll be able to watch and see if we freeze. All right, so this is what we're talking about. We had issues when we were younger in our marriage. I don't know if you guys heard that part, and it had everything to do with at that particular time it was finances and okay. So it had everything to do with finances, and so we got into some trouble in our finances, and it was because he didn't want to ask for help. He didn't want to say anything, and so I don't know if you guys. Maybe I should back up. I don't know if you heard that part that I used to be the saver, and I was responsible for saving um, money, and he was the one that was responsible for paying bills, and that's just how we did it in our household. And then eventually, we had some financial troubles that I wasn't aware of, but money got funny. And when money got funny, he decided that he wasn't going to say anything to me about it. And then we ended up in a lot of trouble. And, a lot of financial trouble where we just couldn't make ends meet. But he didn't say anything. Hey, Elizabeth. He didn't say anything to me. And so, why that is, we have had to do our own homework. And I keep looking down to make sure that we're still on. Um, I've had to do my homework. I see it's like skipping. Is that what is happening to y'all, or is it still going? Because it just seems like it's keep. You see this?
Like it's delayed.
Tell me if it's skipping.
Okay, so we're gonna keep going because it seemed like whatever.
Okay, he said it's okay.
Okay.
All right. So he decided, like I said, that he wasn't going to ask for any help, and he was just going to do it on his own. And then we ended up in a lot of financial trouble. One of the problems that we had early on, I mean, we've had evictions. We've had, we've lost cars, car repossessions. We've been behind in bills and all of this stuff. And it was really based on just if you're getting into some trouble, although I'm putting all this money away, it's not like he don't have access to the money. You just got to say something. You have to say that this is what's happening. But because of pride is how I saw it. And the responsibility.
It's pride.
The responsibility of being the man in the relationship that it cost us over the years. But even though it's not financial anymore, and thank God that hasn't been our struggle, it's been it's in other areas.
I can sit here and actually talk to you about it because of the simple fact that I went through it. And it wasn't always easy, but the way that I came up, it seemed, and I'm gonna stress the word seemed. It seemed like the men took care of everything. And the woman really didn't have to do anything, didn't have to worry about anything. That's kind of what I saw. Even in church, it's like the men did everything. But as I grew, I'm finding out that a lot of the strength behind the men are the women. Now, I was one that I never said if I needed something because I was, this may be right, it may be wrong. Y'all tell me. But I grew up where I didn't feel like I need to ask my wife for anything because I didn't want her I shouldn't have to ask her for anything. But nobody told me that it was all right to ask for help. I didn't feel like marriage was a partnership. I felt like there was so much responsibility that was on me. I had to make it happen. The same way that I do with my own children. When it's time to go somewhere and they want to go, usually I'm paying for it. So that has always been my thought. That has also been my pattern. That is what I have seen. And I have never asked for help. I've never asked for anything. And like I was just telling my wife now, I remember when I was a kid, I would be sitting at the table with my mother, and I would sit at the table from 4 o'clock until probably 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night to answer questions on my math homework. Sometimes the math homework wouldn't be right. She would erase the answer. That's not it. Try again. And I would have to sit there. I didn't eat. I didn't go to the bathroom. I didn't do nothing until I got it right. And so some of that um, has a bearing on how I viewed women because I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want you getting an attitude with me. I didn't want you looking at me funny. I didn't feel like I wanted you to respect me, but I didn't realize that the respect was in you making the effort and doing things to make things work, not just taking it all on your shoulder and shouldering it all, and then we end up in trouble.
Because even though it sounds great that yes, you want to take the responsibility, you want to be the person in charge and all of that stuff, the problem is when the rubber meets the road and you haven't said anything and there is no conversation about we're going through this, because I felt like I've always seen it as a partnership. So therefore in the beginning it's like, if something is going on, if you give me the task, because see, you can't give me a task and think I ain't gonna do it to the nth degree, okay? Because that's just my personality. So if you give me the task of the saver, and you give me the task and be the person that when we go places, you're gonna take care of all that stuff, kids activities, kids clothes, that type of stuff, and that's gonna be my job.
And she's done
I'm gonna
just
make
that.
sure that I have everything that I'm supposed to have on my list. My list is good, okay? So because of that, I'm expecting that your list is good too. But if your list is not good and it's gonna cost us in the end, because in the end you're saying you want respect, but the respect you
You
lose
don't have the
respect
respect
when now we're
things go
facing
awry.
exactly.
Especially if it's your fault.
If you're facing an eviction,
Right.
how can I have respect when it's like you
We
mean
gotta
to tell
move.
me
We gotta pack this stuff up and we gotta move. So now what? Now we gotta go try to find a place. Now we gotta do this. Now we gotta do that. And you want me to respect you? No.
and we had it
And we
and
had
we
it.
had it.
And we had it.
We had it.
Right.
And you didn't just say,
Right.
you just didn't say that this is what you needed, all because of your pride or all because, you're having some childhood trauma that has affected you all of your life. Like, no, it's not. And that's not even to be any slight because it's real. I mean, it is absolutely real. He's stuck at a table when he's 10 years old, and having this conversation, with his mother. That's that. And honestly, I love his mom, but I'm saying that's between you and your mama. Like that's what
Right.
happened to you, which is really sad.
But it's sad because it carries over into your adult life.
Right.
And even as I got older, I'll never forget, I was 16, 15, 16. And when I would catch the bus from Compton to Inglewood, after I got out of school for Bible class or choir rehearsal or whatever, I would ask my mother for change and for the bus. And she was like, you just got to get a job or whatever. And then if I asked for something, she would throw it at me. And I swore then, I don't need nothing. I ain't asking ever. And I didn't. I would not. I would walk halfway from Compton to Inglewood before I open my mouth and ask for anything. Now that I'm not being mean. That's just how it was. And I love my mother dearly. And if you watching yet, it is what it was. That's it.
But so that what he experienced as a child, what he experienced with his mother, then spilled over to me. So now he's not going to ask me for anything. I'm just not, because I didn't ask. I'll rather walk. I'll rather go without. Well, guess what, buddy? You're not
You're
going
not by
without by
yourself.
yourself. Now
Now
we're
it's
both.
us. And how about this? It's not just us. Now we got 3 kids behind us who are also following, and that's just what happens. So men don't talk for various reasons. The communication problem in their family, the
Oh, I see.
dynamics
It's freezing.
could be, we don't know what it could have been. It could have been anything. But it's not healthy, especially when you have a spouse and your relationship, it should be one. We are now at a point where I can think something and she would say it, or she would think something and then I would say it. So becoming one takes time, it takes trial and error, it takes giving and receiving. Becoming one takes effort, it takes humility. Becoming one takes honesty, and becoming one is fearful. Because now I have to trust this woman with my life, and I do. I trust her with my life. Now I trust her with my money.
Not only that, it's not even about just all of the things to become one. You got to heal. You got to heal from that stuff. Because if you don't heal from the stuff that brought you here, then we continue to have these issues.
Right.
Because,
not knowing where it stems from.
And although we have come a long way within our marriage, the reason why we're having this conversation even this week is because of basic stuff like that. Him trying to do something, because he's not computer savvy. So anybody who knows,
I know how to use a computer.
He's trying very hard. He is not computer savvy. He's not. He knows the very basics. He can say what he wants, but he's struggling.
I do know the very basics. Give me an HP, and I can figure it out.
No, he cannot.
Okay.
He can say that, and we don't use HPs. I haven't used HP in.
Yes, she hasn't used an HP in forever.
Okay.
And you put an HP in front of her, she ain't gonna know what to do with it.
Exactly. So I only use
a Mac.
Exactly. But with that, that's all he uses also. So he can't say that.
I that's what I use.
He literally will sit in front of the computer, which is really, this is why this conversation comes up. He will sit in front of the computer until his legs are numb. An hour or 2 hours. Trying to figure out something that is very simple. And I'll have to finally, now sometimes, I ain't gonna lie, I'll look over at him and I'll see that he's just
look that she'll have on her face.
Because I'm like, here's my challenge. When are you going to open your mouth and say,
ask me to help you?
I'm struggling with this and I'm stuck. You would rather sit there doing the same thing over and over and no, I'm not irritated. I'm not. But I'm just saying, he would sit there and do it over and over and over again. And I'm saying, when are you going to just say, can you help me with this? I'm not going to take over because I can. I got to take over spirit. Okay. That's just who I am, because I can do it and I can do it fast. Period. I don't have to.
I got that take over.
Whatever. See, there you go. Okay. I'm not going to even know. Whatever. No.
No, I'm just teasing. She can do it in a matter of minutes. She can do it. I would. And honestly, I would. I would sit there an hour trying to figure something out that's probably very basic. And because I don't like asking for help. That's just how it happens. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not good. And then she gets irritated because you sat here all this time and you needed help, but you didn't say nothing.
And that's sad. What it does to me, Deborah says, hey, Deborah, she said, it takes time. 21 years married on the July 17th. It does take time. For us, we're going now
happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. We're going on 29 years this October. And what's sad about it, to me, what's sad is that I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to make you feel like you're 10 again. I have that ability, though. I can, because I'm a mother. The mother comes out of me. So here's the real conversation.
That's not your trauma. That's my trauma. That's my trauma. And I have to deal with my trauma so that I can heal from it and then move on and be great and be better.
There you go. You see, Maurice just said it right there. Technologically challenged. It's okay, Pastor Maddox. Listen, that's why I'm here. She defends her place of help. Exactly. I'm here to do it. I sat and
Maurice,
watched him. No, I sat and watched him, and I literally just sat and
and
watched
she
him.
didn't say nothing.
I didn't say a word. I just watched, and I just watched him get more and more frustrated. And then you hear the sighs, right? So I'm listening to all of this, right? I'm listening to this, but he's still not opening his mouth. He's still not. And what that lets me know is that you're still not healed from that. You're still 10.
But then I can see, but I also can pick up and read her energy, and the looks on her face is like, give me that. Just give it. And she'll take it, and then, did you try this? And then it's like,
you know what?
Okay.
So then I'll give them simple stuff. And the stuff is, I've done this for you. Now put it in your notes so you'll have it.
Now.
So you'll know how to go back and do it. Here's my instructions because, okay, I did it. All right, it's done, right? It's done.
Did you
put it in your notes or whatever? So then when he goes back to it, what's in your notes, right? You put it in your notes.
Sometimes I don't put in my notes.
He don't do it. So now you don't have notes for it, and now we have to do this process all over again.
And that's one reason why I don't change passwords, because I'm very, very simple. I'm not complex. Not that any of you people are complex. Or whatever. I take the time. I maintain usually the same thing because it's easy to remember. I don't do.
He can say that if he wants. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't say that online. But anyway, the thing is, even if you did, the thing is, if you never wrote it down, you never put it somewhere, and you don't remember it, even though you say it's simple, you're still struggling to have to do it. You're still struggling to do the task. And the problem is, if you don't heal, like I said, from being 10 and sitting at the table, writing the number, because I said, what's frustrating is how many times do you write 5? If she says that the answer is not 5, how many times you're going to write 5 for an hour? You're going to write 5 for an hour? You're going to write 5 for,
I'll say 6.
Now, let me admit, I am the kind of parent. I cannot, okay? My confession.
Raise your hands and receive it.
I am not the parent for homework, okay? I'm not. Especially if you don't apply yourself. If you're not the person that think that thing through and can really, do that thing, then I'm not the person for you. Literally. And so my kids did have a hard time with me being the homework person. So he would kick in and do it. Now, Simone, of course, she would shoot through and breeze through, and she would process. She was a thinker. Sebastian was also. Sydney struggled a little bit more. And Sydney would sit there. She was stubborn as a mule. And Sydney would sit there and wouldn't do nothing. She didn't care what I said. You could erase it. You can do whatever. And she was going to sit there and not do anything.
Right.
Okay. That's the type of child she was. So for me, I wasn't the one to help her because I would get so upset and I would rip up the paper, do all that type of stuff. Olivia is that kind of child too. If you're telling her something, she don't like what you're saying, she'll tear up the homework and say, then fine, none of us have to do it. That is Olivia, okay? So I know I'm reaping what I have sown. I know this. If you were that child, which it seems that he was that child, if he didn't understand something, he was just going to sit there and not really do the work, but just sit there and didn't mind sitting there, although his feelings was hurt. He would sit there for forever. Then it's hard because then here I am, right? I didn't have any help. You see how childhood, I'm just trying to show you that in marriages, what happens in a marriage. Now, y'all can deny this stuff all y'all want, but it's the truth. If people dig deep, and I dig deep. So if you don't want to dig deep, it probably ain't for you. And if you don't want to do the work before you get married, then good luck when you get married. And if you don't want to do it while you're married, then good luck. Okay.
Swim. That's just
in marriage. I didn't have help. So nobody sat at the table with me. Nobody helped me. I literally had to figure it out. And then I didn't mind asking for help. I'm one of those people that ask a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask for help from people who I felt had the knowledge.
Right.
When you put us two together, somebody who's stuck at 10, who's going to keep putting 5 on the paper for 2 hours. No, I'm just saying. That's no shade. And then you have the person who had never had any help and just feels like you need to ask for help. Then you get this thing that happens between the two.
Right.
I then become that mean person who just, you don't want to ask, right? Because I look like I don't want to help, but I do want to help. I just want you to ask.
Right.
And then you become the person who just refuses. And then we have this thing that happens between us that we often apologize after one of these sessions of, I wasn't trying to be mean. I know that may have hurt your feelings, but I wasn't trying to be mean. And then he has to say, I should have asked, and because I really did need help, and I didn't. And then we kind of do this thing in our marriage, and you shouldn't have to.
So tell me this: why don't men talk?
No, why it's not talk. It's ask for help.
Okay. Why don't men ask for help? The door's open. Doors of the church are wide open. Who's asking a question?
Nobody's asking a question.
Oh.
But
that's the question. Why don't men ask for help?
Michael Harvey says healing from the traumas from inner childhood. You got to. It affects you on so many levels. And if you ignore it and act like it don't happen, you're tripping.
And in all fairness and honesty, you don't realize how one traumatic experience in your childhood has affected your entire life and how it stretches out far beyond what it has tentacles that touch everything. And you're wondering, well, where did this come from? And it all stems from something that is traumatic that has happened in your childhood.
Tootie said, I don't understand why it's so hard to say you need help. Nobody have it all together. We just gave a perfect example. He was 10 years old, sitting at the table, trying to do homework, and his mother was frustrated. And her look on her face, the way she responded, is something that affected him. And from that moment, he has had a very hard time asking her for anything. And then it trickled over to us. So as he grew up, Lisa said pride is one thing. Pride is another thing that stops you. No one wants to be yelled at. Nobody wants to be treated bad. So that's another one. Deborah Riley Draper, if you haven't checked out her film, make sure you do. I'll put some plugs in here.
Love it. You got to.
I guess you got a couple of them out there, but Olympic Pride, American Prejudice, you got to check it out. She also has a book that's out. So, but she says societal conditioning. That is another one. It is something that we, you have to deal with. Generational trauma is another one. Macho man, I can do it by myself. Now, I was a macho girl, and I felt like I can do it by myself. But I also felt that
after you've exhausted everything, now let me ask somebody for help. Because I am that way. I'm going to do this myself because I can. And till I found out I can't.
Well, I mean, he will sit for hours doing one thing and not ask for help. So that right there, you have to heal from that. You got to know, what I had to tell him, which is just really not, and I love you, Mama Joyce. I do, right? I love you. But I had to say, I'm not your mom.
Right.
I'm not your mom. I didn't do that to you.
Right.
I didn't do that to you. I'm not I have shown to you that I am trustworthy. I have shown you in our marriage that you can trust that I will help you. I'm not going to turn you away.
Right. She is my rider. Believe it. Believe it. I trust her just that much. But it has taken so long for me to get to that point.
Michelle says, stuck in your own ways. Yep, that's another thing. But I think it goes deeper than that because it's more than just being stuck. It's literally,
it's just
there's a fear. I can tell you this. I'm going to tell you this. When we've had our issues, when it comes down to him asking for help, when I have said something like, why didn't you just ask? Like, why would you just sit here and not do this? I can see the look on his face. He literally...
I'm 10.
He's 10 again. I have to then pull that thing back and say, now that's something that I triggered in him. I can see it. I can see. And I feel like a mother. I feel like a mother then talking to her 10-year-old child. That's exactly what I feel like. And I have to then pull that thing back because I respect him. He is my husband. He is not that guy. But I have to then check myself. But I'm conscious enough and aware of it when I see it in his eyes. I see it in his face. His body language changes. Over him asking, over me doing, and then I'm questioning. And it's this role thing that happens in a marriage. And if you're not sensitive, now every woman ain't going to be that sensitive. I am. I love this man. So I'm no way going to ever try to make him feel like that or want him to feel like that. And when I see it, then I have to check myself. And I also have to meet him where he's at and say, hey, what's going on with you? What is happening right now? So I'm careful. I'm really careful when we have these times in our relationship. I got to literally pull back and say, okay, you got to chill. You got to ask that question, but you got to ask it in a way. And when are you ever going to be comfortable enough to just simply ask? I shouldn't watch you struggle for an hour or two. You got to.
No, you're trying to do is sign in.
All you're trying to do is sign in. Like, you shouldn't have, it shouldn't be that hard for you.
And see, I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Maybe I didn't put my password in properly. Maybe I didn't do this right. Or maybe it's the casing. And I go through all of that. But again, it all goes back to childhood trauma. And I literally, my whole 10 years old.
His shoulders change.
His shoulders drop.
Change. He looks like a little boy. Like literally.
Being 10. As gray as I am.
And I have to stop.
Has to be dealt with in order to be able to move on from it. So it does not. So its tentacles don't affect you in other areas in your life or in your marriage.
And I have to make sure that as he continues to work through his issues, that I'm just very conscious of it. I have to be and just stay in a state of humbleness on my end, and just being in a respectful space and understanding that this is a process that he has to work through. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not making fun that he has to sit for an hour or two trying to figure something out, but I would like him to get, like, if you get stuck, be able to ask the question,
can you help me
right
with this?
away.
I'm stuck.
You know, instead of being stuck. But he's going to try to work through that on his own, and I do have to respect that. And then listen to my tone. Listen to how I'm approaching the situation, because I know what it does for him. Maurice says, pride and ego is the commonplace that most men operate from when they resist asking for help. Men don't want to feel shamed in front of others, especially women. Exactly.
Right.
Here's what happens in a marriage, though. You show yourself, right? Because I've shown mine, right? Show me your scars, because I've shown all of mine. I know we still want to operate from this place of ultimate respect, like nothing has ever happened to you. But guess what? I can see it.
Right.
If we didn't go through, I mean, whenever he lose, I lose too. Where he struggle, I struggle too.
Right.
So we're struggling together, and I don't like to struggle. Okay, I'm just saying. I know what this. I know it's a part of the process, right? But I don't like to. I don't like to.
Right.
Maurice says also, plus men don't want to be joked about, right, with their male peers. Essentially, a man's ego is fragile, even though their external structure appears to be solid. You know what? You spoke life. Now that means a whole lot, because that is absolutely true. I mean, I believe it to be true. Is that true for you?
It's true. It's true. You want to look like you have it all together. That's just the way that it is. But you want to really have it all together. Not just look the part. You really want to have it all together. You really want to be one complete whole individual and not have these. But the problem is, I think we don't address the things that we're dealing with. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to feel like I need help. I'm a man. I can do this. And only to get to a point where you frustrate yourself and you frustrate those who love you, because no one wants to see you have to go through something you don't have to, when all you have to do is ask.
especially about little stuff. Now, I'm not saying some things you'll have to ask from another male counterpart, and that's fine. But some stuff that could be handled within your household, it's okay to be fragile. Uh, we have seen each other at our best, and we have seen each other at our worst. We have skin in the game when it comes
Right.
down to our marriage, and so it saddens me that that part of him he's still working through even at almost 51 years old. He's
Right.
still dealing and processing that. I still have stuff that I'm dealing with myself that he has to help me and carry me through, and support me through too. And so we both find ourselves at these spaces where you think that, I think all of this is to say, you think that it doesn't matter how long you're married. You think that you've arrived at a space,
Mm-mm.
you
You
still
just
have so much.
you just arrived at the end of a chapter.
Yes,
And now you're getting ready to start a new chapter. And
yes,
sometimes the beginning of that new chapter starts out with the old issues,
yeah,
past things that you've gone through that have been traumatic. You're back, but it's different now because now you're processing it as an adult and not as a kid.
yeah. Lydia says it's like that little boy, little girl on the inside was never told their thoughts, feelings, or emotions are valid.
Right.
Yeah, and then we hold them to a higher standard to perform at a certain level when they're not necessarily ready to do it. And then, like I said, it all goes back to how many of us have had those experiences sitting at the dinner table to do homework. That is one of the most traumatic experiences for children when you can't do it. And you're trying to figure it out and you just don't get it, and then you're being scolded because of it. It is hard. I'm not going to say that that's easy. The thing is, I never had it because I didn't have anybody to do that with, so I don't quite understand that space, other than I don't understand it from a space of receiving that type of
Mhm.
criticism. I understand it from giving it. I remember feeling that way sitting at the table with Sydney, and Sydney was trying, and I'm just like, no, you're not. Like, you're
Right.
not. I mean, it's simple. Like, I can see it. The dog can see it. The man across the street and the moon can see it. How come you
But
can't
you
see
can't
it?
see it.
But so I
And
was
then
one of
she's
those.
mad.
I would be critical. I would be very critical, and I had to repent and apologize to my children. I mean, I was hard. I was not an easy parent, by no means when it came down to my children, and especially when it came down to education. And the reason why is because I didn't have help. You see where that comes from? That comes from because I didn't have it.
You have issues.
I do have issues. It's because I didn't have
You have
it.
issues too.
Then if I didn't have it and I figured it out, you got both of us and all of this support. Why can't you figure it out? You see how that happens? You
That's how
see how
that
that
happens.
happens? And then he would sit at the table for hours with Sydney because of what he went through.
And I would handle her differently because of what I went through.
So Maurice says, men must remember we are perfectly imperfect, just as women are the same. That's why we are joined together. We are perfect for one another. Absolutely. Don't be afraid of showing your scars with someone you are most intimate with beyond the physical. Beautiful.
Well said.
And well said. Um, I got one more thing before we have to go. This is Michael Harvey, Minister wait, hold on. It's coming. There we go. I believe when the problems arise, it's just not asking for help that is the problem, but when one asks help, it's the reality of the struggle mentally. Oh, struggle mentality.
Mhm.
Also,
Bad
bad communication inside internally. Yeah. So basically, when you come to a problem and you see a struggle, you digest it not as, oh, I'm struggling, but rather I failed. Bad internal communication. Now, I'm going to 100% agree with you on that, because what he said to me when we were talking about this earlier was I have to turn off those voices in my head and
Mhm.
say that I can do this.
Mhm.
So something internally is telling him that he can't. And my question is, who told you that? Look, here's the mother in me. Who told you that you can't?
You can.
You can.
You just have to do it even though you do it scared. And I can tell you honestly, from a ministerial standpoint, when God has given you something, you still do it. Even though you do it and you do it scared. This is no different.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be in your life, whatever be in your relationships, do it and do it scared.
Yeah.
And you'll find out you can accomplish it, you can do it, and you just got to believe that you can.
And heal that stuff that you've been dealing with in your childhood.
Sure.
Work it out. Be there to support one another. This goes. People often ask us, "Is it just for married people?" No, it's not.
No,
It's for people
it's
before
for
you get married.
before
If
you
you
get
are
married.
thinking about a relationship, work out this stuff before. Find out some of that childhood stuff that they have gone through. Do they have a problem with asking for help? Will they let you know when something is going on? Because
Right.
if they are keeping that stuff in and you don't know, if you think it's not going to affect your marriage, you're sadly mistaken.
Because it's going to come up at one point or another in your relationship.
Exactly.
And it's all going to stem back to something that they did not communicate that hurt them, or that they had that they dealt with from a traumatic. It was traumatic to them, and so they never got over it.
It's something that, before we go, there was a one of our my daughter-in-law went through the same thing. No one helped her because their mother didn't help. Nobody helped her mother, and nobody helped her mother's mother. And I got to deal with 4 generations of these women in this particular family, and all of them said the same thing. It was all the same thing. Well, nobody did it for me, and nobody helped me, and nobody helped me. I had to do it. I figured it on my own. And before you know it, you have this generations. Now it's,
Right. It's a perpetual cycle
Exactly.
that constantly repeats itself, and then you inflict that same or that same feeling on your children, and you wonder why.
Yeah.
Because you dealt with it.
Dusty, hi Dusty. It says
Hey,
it
Dusty.
starts at home. The men being shown you do it alone and make it work however you have to, and not being able to say I need help, because that's not what men do. We are changing though, and I love that, Dusty. Like you told me about breaking generational curses, it start with self, and I know that now. Thank you.
That's my brother.
That's my brother-in-law.
That's my brother.
That is beautiful. You're right. That says everything.
And now you're changing the narrative. You're changing the conversation. The conversation is now shifting to being in your favor. Because, like my wife said, who told you you can't?
Right. And who told you you couldn't ask for help?
Yeah.
You can ask, and people are actually there to help you. If you don't know, ask. And there are people that are willing to help you, but you can't be stuck on what you were told at 10 years old.
Right.
That prevents you, that in your life that you've never asked, and you just keep finding yourself in this bad situation. Because I often ask the question to anybody, well, how is that working for you? How is that working for you? You sitting here for 2 hours where your legs are numb.
And then you're sitting
how
there
did that work out for you? By not asking.
It's not working. So do it, and do it scared.
There we go. That's it. That final thought, and heal. Yes, Charity.
Do
and
it.
Heal.
Do it scared, and heal. And it's all right to heal. You are worthy of being healed. You don't have to carry a lot of. You don't have to carry a lot of junk. You are worthy to be healed, and you can, and you're all right, and you're good. So just do it.
Yeah.
And you got to do it scared.
All right.
And heal. This is Mad Eyes Marriage
That's
Mondays.
it, y'all. Love y'all.
Hope we help somebody tonight. Take it, pass it on to your children, pass on to your grandchildren. Take some of it for yourself. But one thing's for sure. Please take care of yourself.
All right.
Wash your hands. Wash your face. Wear your mask. Do what's necessary. Stay safe.
Love y'all.
And we'll see you next time.
Love
Bye,
y'all.
you guys.
All right. Bye.